Hello students, as I said, today we will revise the lesson from the textbook. The name of the textbook is Flamingo. First we will revise one of the poem. The name of the poem is My Mother at 66, which is already you have read. You may be knowing all the things about the poem. It is just a revision. You can pay your attention. Now you look at that screen. On your right hand side, see the picture is there. On your right hand side, a young woman is there, and on the left hand side there is a woman who is in old age. So the young one is the poet, and the name of the poet is Kamala Das, and the old one is name we do not know. It is not written over there, but she is her mother, and her age is 66. Now you look at another picture. This poem can be divided into two parts, I can say. One is from home to airport while she was driving the car, and after the check-in, we can say, in the airport. Two different occasions she looked at her mother, and what thought process is going on her mind, that we will see. Situation, two different situations we see over here while she was in the car and at the airport. So this is the picture which you might have seen in your textbook. In your textbook it is there, and you can see that the woman who is carrying a bag, she is Kamala Das, she is saying goodbye to her mother. And on the other hand, you can see the picture of her mother. She is also saying bye bye. So this is the pictures which you have seen. This poem describes about these two pictures, we can say. Let us see first about the poet. Once again we will learn something about the poet. We know the name of the poem is My Mother at 66, and the name of the poet is Kamala Das. And she is well known poet in among the Indian poets, we can say. And in her works, whether it is a poem or novel or stories, you will find indigenous flavor. So indigenous flavor here meaning is, we know that she belongs to an India. So generally the words which is used in India, that you will find. So in the poem, when you read, you will find two words are there, generally the Indian use, whatever the culture it may be. And she has one more thing, we can see, that published her works in English as well as in Malayalam, particularly in the name of Madhavi Kutti. This poem, My Mother at 66, it is written in lyrical idioms. So what does it means, lyrical idioms? So it is emotionally expressed. Whatever the expressions are used, that touches our emotions. Like generally we can understand this one when we listening to the songs, that also strikes or touches our feelings. And in this poem, she brought out the complexity of human relationships. Not complexity to try to understand the meaning of this word. Complexity, the opposite word is simplicity. So now I think you might have understood what does it mean, complexity. So generally it is very difficult. Generally we do not see such relationship, connectivity between the human being, that is the human relationship we can say, that is described. And in this poem, when we read this poem, we will read, she goes to meet her mother, and while she was returning or driving back to the airport, on the way she notices her mother. When she notices or looks at her mother, her face looks very pale. When she looks at the pale face, she feels that her mother become very old, and she becomes very upset. And another significance of this poem is, it is written in a single sentence. This is the significance of this, or importance we can say, of the poem. So, in this poem, when you look at your textbook, in the beginning itself, in an introductory part, it is written that aging is a natural process. What is aging? Aging here meaning is a growing old. It is a natural process. Now, a question raises, particularly the elderly parents, those who are grown old. Our parents, we know that what does parent stands for. To understand that, just look at the word antonyms, is child. So, what they expect from their children, those who are young. When parents becomes old, they expect something from the children. This poem describes particularly about the aged people. They undergo pangs of loneliness. When we talk about the loneliness, or the word itself suggests that already we have read some lessons in your textbook, it is in vistas, that on the face of it, Derek is there, as well as that old man is there, Mr. Lamb. So, in his old age, he feels isolation, they need companionship. So, this poem also suggests that the old people, they seek companionship, and here pangs meaning is the mental pain that cannot be seen easily, and they long for our love, care and attention. These are the things they expect from their children. The other things what they expect, that whatever the things happens in the family, it is to be shared with these elderly people. If it is shared, and what they think that they should seek some suggestions from the elderly people. If it is shared, this will encourage them, those who are in old age, and they live very joyfully, because when the people become old, they cannot live joyfully because of the situation. Many situations are there. So, this is what they expect. So, once again I read the poem. The poem is, driving from my parents' home to Cochin. See that indigenous word Cochin, we know Indians easily understand where is this Cochin is. This is the word she has used. Last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me. Beside me means by the side of her. Doze sleeping. The word meaning is simple word is sleeping. Half sleep we can say. Open mouth. Mouth is open. In old age generally those people when they sleep, the mouth they keep open. Her face ashen like that of a corpse. Here is a comparison. Her face is compared with something else. Later we will see when these lines are explained. And realized with pain. See that when she looks at the face of the mother, she feels some pain, continuous ache we can say, mental pain that cannot be seen. That she was as old. Why? She feels that pain because she becomes very old. As she looked but soon put that thought away. When it disturbs, she wants to put that thought away, the thought which disturbs her, and looked out. Now she does not look at her mother's face, she is looking outside of the car. At young, tree is sprinting while you are sitting in a running car, moving car we can say, you can see the things are moving fast. Okay, this is an imagery that she has used. The merry children spelling, merry children, another imagery, another picture. The children's, they are very active, they are very happy, they are moving from their house, they are moving out from the house we can say, out of their home, but after the airport security check, see that another part, now she has reached at the airport, after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her, wan, pale. Wan means it shows that her face is not rosy, bright, sick. It shows that she is suffering from illness. And pale, colorless we can say. As a late winter's moon, see the one more comparison, her face is compared with late winter's moon. Earlier we have seen one more comparison, that is her face looks like a corpse, corpse here meaning is dead body, and felt that old familiar ache, see that pain, ache, sudden pain, sometimes you say headache, it is like that pain, sudden pain. My childhood's fear, see that fear comes when she looks at her mother, that fear revives we can say, she realizes the pain. What is the fear? But all I said was, see you soon amma, see that another word amma, indigenous word, generally we use Indian, so indigenous words he has used. All I did was smile and smile and smile, see that words are repeated, these are the devices he has used to write this poem. What devices he has used, later we will see. And what is that childhood fear, that will also we will see in the explanation. This is the poem, it is in your textbook. If you look at this poem, the significance of this poem is written in only one sentence, there is no full stop. This is punctuated by commas. This is the beauty of the poem we can say. Her thought is described or expressed in this poem while she was in the car and while she was in the airport. This is the two part we can say this poem describes. It is only about the description of her mother, and the second thing is the feelings of the poet Kamala Das. So, the poem describes the poet had gone to visit her parents' home near Cochin. On Friday morning she was returning on her way to the airport. She noticed her mother sleeping beside her in the car. Her mouth was open and her face was pale and lifeless, just like a dead body. It perhaps expressed the pain she felt because of separation from her daughter. Why her face looks very pale? One reason is given that she may be feeling that my daughter is leaving me at the old age. Generally the old age people like companionship, which we see. The poet was alarmed by the sudden realization, the forthcoming danger. Alarmed means the forthcoming danger. What will happen to her mother? She does not know. Why? That old age had crept upon her mother. She becomes very old, 66. It itself suggests that her mother is old age. So, it was a reality she found hard to accept, that her mother became very old. The poet was pained to see her mother's colorless pale face. She can't see her mother's face. Her face itself suggests that the pain that she feels when she separates from her daughter. to take her attention away from the disturbing thought, she looked outside the car. So generally when we become bored, suppose any work we are performing, when we become bored, we divert our mind. She wanted to divert her mind, because when she looks at her mother, she feels pain. And because of the car was moving, the young green trees appeared to be running in the opposite direction. All of you may have experience of this. This is also an imagery we can say. And she creates some pictures. She also saw a group of children rushing out of their homes to play. These are the two things. When she looks at these two things. One is green trees which appears running, and another thing which she saw, that's a group of children rushing out of their homes to play. They are very happy, very active, enthusiastic. So all this probably reminded her of her childhood when her mother was young. When she might have been young, she was a very small child. That we can think about it. So the young sprinting trees, sprinting, that word itself, you may be familiar with this word, particularly in sports this word is used, sprint, short and fast run or race we can say. It appears the trees are running fast and represented how fast time had flown by. See that this picture suggests that through this picture she wants to make a suggestion that time flows very fast. So the children represented youth. The another picture what she has seen or she describes about the children, a group of children, that represents the age of youth, which was full of life and energy. So both young trees and the children presented a sharp contrast to the mother sitting beside her, who was old and suffering from ill health. See the opposite of this, sharp contrast, totally or completely opposite to the things which she looks at. Or simply we can say, when she looks at the mother, what thought comes in her mind, and when she looks outside the car, what thought comes in her mind. Different thoughts are there. So the young children and trees were able to divert her thoughts away, because when she looks at her mother, that gives pain, that disturbs her mind. So to divert the thoughts, these two things which she saw, that helps her to put away that thoughts. But after reaching the airport and passing through security check, the poet again looked at her mother, who was standing a few yards away from her. Her mother looked lifeless and dull, like a late winter's moon. Winter, we know that it's a rainy season. Generally, snow falls. Late winter's moon means, suppose the moon is appeared. The cloud, yesterday you might have seen, today it is 16, on 15th, what was the condition of the Port Blair? Even at the 8 o'clock it was dark because of cloud. Suppose even that sun we couldn't able to see. So like that, lifeless and dull. When she looks at that, the face of the mother, she feels, which cannot be seen clearly because of mist and fog. Two geographical term it is used over here, mist and fog. So fog, we know that is small droplets of the vapors, and suppose a thin layer of fog is called mist. So these words suggest that it looks very dull, not rosy, not happy. She looks very sad. Once again she was pained to see her mother in this condition. As she was going away and leaving her mother, her old familiar pain, her childhood fear that she would lose her mother, this is the fear. What is the fear, childhood fear? That she is going to lose her mother, or she would lose her mother. Whether she will be there or not, a lesson you have read in 11th class. Do you remember a portrait of a lady when that Khushwant Singh leaves her grandmother at the railway station? He thinks that whether this grandmother will leave or not. So, likewise, it is a childhood fear. The poet Kamala Das feels if she returns once again, whether she will be there or not. That thought suddenly comes back to her. So, she tried to hide her emotions behind her smile. So, why did she smile? Smile and smile and smile. And the last line says, she keeps on smiling. Why? Because she wants to hide her emotions. She doesn't want to show that she is also she feels very bad or she feels very sad. She did not want to reveal her feelings to her old mother and paid her farewell. Paid her said bye bye with a smile. So, that smile gives hope for mother as well as the poet, and both of them have a hope that once again they will meet, and she keeps on smiling. Some text questions are there, sort of type of questions in that textbook, what we can say, some terminal questions are there in your textbook, so that also you can revise. The first question is, what is the kind of pain and ache that the poet feels? See, that pain and ache, you may think about that, why these both have similar meaning. Sudden pain is ache, and if ache is continued, that is called pain. That is why these words are used. So, what is the kind of pain and ache that poet feels? So, that poem suggests the poet is pained to see her mother's dull and colorless face. She is hard to see that her mother's face looks like that of a dead body. She is afraid of the fact that she may not see her mother alive next time. This is what? This is the pain she feels. What is that? Once again I repeat that sentence. She is afraid of the fact that she may not see her mother alive next time. Can you think of this? Suppose you may feel this one. You are also living in family. Suppose you are leaving your parents, those who are in old age, and you are going abroad, and nobody is there to look after them. What will you feel? The same thing she feels. Next question is, why are the young trees described as sprinting? The car was moving when the poet looked outside at the trees. They appear to be sprinting because the car was speeding past them in the opposite direction. This is the reason. The young trees represented life, and in contrast to her mother's approaching death. So, on the one hand, young tree is there, on the other hand, old woman, her old age mother is there. So, sharp contrast we can say. Young trees that represents life, and that old woman represents the approaching death. So, this is the reality. So, why has the poet brought in the image of the merry children, the children those who are very happy, spilling out of their homes, moving out of their homes, spilling out. This image, why she has brought out? Image means mental picture. The poet has used this imagery to bring out the contrast between children who are energetic and full of life. On the other hand, her mother is very old, pale and lifeless. So, she wants to make the comparison of life and death. Why has the mother been compared to the late winter's moon? Earlier, we have seen in the poem, she compares the face, the corpse, and here late winter's moons. Winter, name of the season, generally the fog appears, the atmosphere, and just as the late winter's moon looks hazy and appear hazy, not clear, dull, lack brightness and luster, luster here meaning shining due to mist and fog. These are the two things. Because of this, moon appears or moons doesn't look bright. Similarly, the poet's mother, who is now old, looks pale and devoid of exuberance. Exuberance means active, energetic. She is not energetic. Her face looks dull and colorless due to old age. So, see this comparison when she makes, she looks like that the thing which is compared. What do the parting words of the poet and her smile signifies? Parting words, you know, that see you soon, Amma. So, this is the parting word. What does it suggest? And when she smiles, why she smiles? The poet's parting words, see you soon, Amma, signify hope and assurance, not only to herself, but to her mother also, that they will meet again. So, this is the significance of that parting word as well as the smile. So, some poetic devices which is used by the poet in this poem, My Mother at 66, captured the complex subtleties of human relations, the complex which is not simple. Subtleties here, the meaning is that generally we didn't see or we do not see what generally happens when we are living with the people, their expressions, their behavior, generally we avoid. But here the poet looks at the things which is generally people do not look at. Let us see. So that she has used symbols, imaginary and other poetic devices, and already we have discussed that entire poem is structured in the frame of a single sentence. These are the devices that she has used. It indicates a single string of thought that runs throughout. There is a similarity, this is one device, what we say figures of speech, in the explicit comparison of the ashen face of her mother to that of a corpse. So, another simile that she has used, that we know, that late winter's moon. So, that also suggests that the brightness of her mother's face, that is lost. And there is the use of personification. Inanimate things are animated, that is personification, in the line with the quality of running swiftly. For enhancing the poetic effect, the poet has used alliteration. Alliteration means repetitions of the sound in the use of the words like familiar and fear. The repetition of the consonant sound, that is fa, in familiar and fear. So, this is one poetic device. It also suggests the poet's familiarity with her childhood fear and the sorrow of losing her mother's death. So, now we have discussed some of the, what we can say, important points of that poem. In the next module, we will see the different type of questions which will be asked in this poem. Thank you.